all of the economic indicators around the world, or I call it the news base, they have to pitch a story. Every single day, there needs to be a story pitch. It's kind of how they make their money. Overarchingly, it's a form of marketing. And guess what? The big story a couple weeks ago, and actually a couple months ago, was Evergrande in China about to default. They don't have a chance to make it happen and get out of their default. China was thinking about some type of restructuring. It was kind of like Neil on a thread, pulling and pulling, trying to understand what is next. Like the next scene of one of these suspense movies. And guess what? The results have come in today that Evergrande dodges the default. The question for you guys, as you look at this real estate industry, where is the news on this avoidance of the default? Now, you may say this happened 4 minutes ago, but I did my little YouTube search, and immediately I did not see anything that highlighted that Evergrande was paying off their interest on their default. Is there a lot of fears? Yes. So let's read up Business News Weekly. I like seeing what's happening here. Bondholders receive overdue couponic payments. Okay. Chinese property stage bond stage relief rally. Broader liquidity concerns remain. More debts coming due. So yes, they met this one hurdle, which is something to kind of clamor and clap about because, okay, this was kind of like the, what do you call it? The Black Swan event for the real estate industry because of the size of this company. There has to be other investments that they had across UK, US, all the big cities, main city hubs. I expect Evergrande to have a little bit of exposure to these guys. However, with this payment, as a thing that potentially could come unless somebody reverses course, we're looking at a company that it may be able to avert the greatest fear, right? The cascade and the ripple effect of these cash-strapped companies. You know about Zillow in the economy. Now, let's read through. Evergrande, the world's most indebted developer, has been stumbling from deadline to deadline in recent weeks and grapples with more than $300 billion in liabilities. $19 billion, which are all dollar bonds. So that's the impact to the U.S. I wanted to clamor and focus in there. $19 billion worth of money involved with the U.S. dollar. So that's something to definitely think about. And they're not in the clear yet. There's still some more things to talk about. Okay. The payments were made at the end of a 30-day grace period that ended Wednesday. And okay, they waited to the end of it. And what they did were the third reprieve for the company in the past month. Two separate offshore coupons payments that were due in late September and for which the grace periods ended in October were also paid with the deadline perilously close. So they waited to the last ticker, to the last 10 seconds of the game to make this payment. A failure to pay would have resulted in a formal default by the company and triggered cross-default provisions for other Evergrande dollar bonds. That's the key thing for us. That's how it affects the USA, right? That $19 billion would have triggered some all additional defaults, all right? Exacerbating a debt crisis looming over the world's second largest economy, okay? That's pretty good news there. All right, we continue on. The near-term fix seems to be happening, but there's a long way to go before this issue gets sorted out. These are early days, said the source, okay? Evergrande, which is the center of a deepening liquidity squeeze in China's $5 trillion property sector. Remember, we looked at the U.S. According to the inventory, 6.29 million homes in the U.S. with a 353,000, I'm rounding up, average that came to $2.2 trillion worth in the U.S. China has $5 trillion. That makes sense, okay? Bigger country. Although the developer managed to avoid a default again, woes in the property sector showed no signs of abating with a wall of debt coming due. Okay, so coupons paid. They made their initial payment, and now we are already on the run, maybe to a turnaround, right? Or maybe some more quieting or shilling of the scare tactics of we're going to crash now. There's no doubt nothing goes parabolically up. There's nothing that goes parabolically up. Does every housing market, if it has gone parabolically up, need a slowdown or cool down at some point? Of course, 100%. That will happen. However, if you're waiting for a crash, I always tell people, housing, if you're in the business of buying houses and investments, and I'm not a super expert, You need to dollar cost average in. You need to have multiple properties. You need to continuously buy the best deal available at this time. Okay. Trade what's in front of you, kind of like the stock market. That's what varies me from the other guys that talk about real estate. I happen to be an avid trader. So that also plays a role in what's going to happen to the housing market. Believe it or not, you won't believe how many investors are cashed in either through a mutual fund or some sort of cash divestment in real estate. And if they move, folks, it'll get bad. It will get bad, guys. And you need that data to incorporate into the decision points because they are now fully vested in this housing market. The rental space is a good place to get some, I would say, residual income. And that gives the guys some dividend payments, 1%, 2%, or 10%, whatever it is, whatever that cap rate is, it gets fed back to the investors. And then you have these flippers. You saw Zillow get in trouble going too far. You need to watch the wage inflation. We'll talk about that in another video on how to understand how can you keep selling these houses back and forth. Well, you're going to sell it to each other, first of all, those big guys, the one percenters. And then when they run out, guess what? There's trouble because they have no one to sell to unless there's wage inflation. So we're going to sign off here and get going. Your first look today on Evergrande. Remember, everyone was talking about it, but right now, I don't see too many issues other than they're paying late and they avoided the payment is the main comment point. It's still scary in this market. We need to continue to watch, but Evergrande avoids the debt default. So what's up? What's up, YouTubers? Need some videos out to let your real estate folks know what's going on. I'm gone. Peace.